Nourish with Kristin, your weekly chat with certified nutrition therapist and lifelong foodie Kristin Whitaker, coming to you from Utah Natural Wellness with a reminder that your food should serve you. So, let's dish! Thanks for joining me today. I'm Kristin Whitaker, certified nutrition therapist at Utah Natural Meat and Milk, and I'm so excited to talk all things about food and how you can make it work for you. Today, the topic is smoothies, which sounds pretty basic, but I'm hoping there'll be something in here that will help you take advantage of this superfood habit. So in the meantime, if you have tips to share or questions, just pop them in the feed and we'll take those live. And let's dive in. Okay, so smoothies have so many benefits, and I'm sure you hear about them all the time. Most of you probably do them all the time. You know they're fast, right? If you're not making your smoothie in 5 minutes or less, let's see if we can troubleshoot that. But it's seriously maybe the only fast food that I would endorse. It's easy. You don't need a recipe. In fact, if you're using a recipe, you might be doing it the wrong way. And it's power-packed. It's just a concentrated, easy, fast source of nutrition. It's hard to beat that in any other form. Another benefit of smoothies is that it's pre-digested. That blender does a lot of work for you, breaking it down and making it easy for your body to assimilate and take in. And we've talked about this in other chats, but anything you can do to alleviate the energy used for digestion frees energy up for other functions in your body, like healing, like detoxing, like rebuilding. So that's another plus for smoothies. You might remember from another video, I told a story about my super picky daughter, Zeta. She's a force to reckon with. I couldn't get food down her. And so we reached a compromise when she was probably 3 years old. If she would have a smoothie in the morning, she'd let mom make her a smoothie and I'd pack that full of nutrition. If she would drink that without giving me crap, just take it down, then she didn't have to have dinner if she didn't like what I was serving, which she almost never did. And that was the way we compromised. So at least as a mom, I knew I was covering my bases and some nutrition was getting down her, but it saved us that power play. That's how big a belief I have in smoothies. Luckily, she eats more food now, but that got us through a really hard phase. Another thing I use smoothies for, but they're a good daily practice. Maybe you get them in every day, maybe you don't. But I definitely kick up my smoothie use when I've been bad for a little bit. Like we just kind of had a holiday weekend here with a family holiday and there was a lot of food and I wasn't 100% virtuous, I will admit. And so come bright Monday morning, I had some stomach trouble, some headache, wasn't feeling well, was definitely reaping what I sowed. So the first thing I did was whip up a really good gut healing smoothie. Or if we're sick, if the kids, I notice a sniffle or people are starting to cough and there's something going around the neighborhood, I definitely up our smoothie use. It's something I rely on. It's a go-to in my mommy arsenal. So big believer in smoothies. So let's talk about it. So if you tuned in today looking for recipes, I am sorry to let you down. I let people down all the time with recipes. One, I'm not much of a recipe person, I'm a throw it together person, but I truly believe with smoothies, if you're stopping to look up a recipe, it's taking you too long and you're less likely to do it. Also with a recipe, it's somebody else's concoction. So use them if you need to start out with, but let's get you to where you're just throwing stuff in a blender and making something that's right for you. So no recipes. You can Google, there's bazillions of recipes online, and you can even Google smoothie formula and get a million different formulas or proportions people will offer for how to make a smoothie, so you can look that up. Maybe, you know what, when I repost this, after every Facebook Live I go and edit it and put it on my blog. I'll post a few of my favorite recipes I use, but even then, if I'm using a recipe for a smoothie, it was because I wanted a special treat or something, and it's not the same thing. So I'll share probably my favorite fancy smoothie recipe is Green Smoothie Girl's Hot Pink Smoothie. It's got beets and cashews in it, and it's like this Barbie doll pink color. It's incredible, but I'll share that and maybe a couple others, but not here right now in this video. So what I want to talk more about is smoothies not as a recipe, but as a habit. Is it something you can do every day or a few times a week? Is it something you can repeatedly include in your regimen? Is it something that you can do without a lot of thought? And is it something that's serving you? This is a habit I want to build, and this is what I want to talk about. So how many of you have heard the term functional food? It's used a lot. In fact, I've even heard Cheerios used as a functional food because it's fortified, right? So for definitions purposes, a functional food is a food that is taken for more than just its macro or micronutrient value. So more than just its vitamins and its minerals. You're taking it for a specific purpose. You're taking it for your health. So a quick definition is a functional food is food that's in your healthy toolbox. You are using it for a function for your health, okay? So I want a smoothie to be a functional food or a tool in your toolbox that you're going to use to create the body you want, like we're always talking about. So getting down to basics, is very few things are required to make a smoothie. And my definition has changed so much. Back in the day, in younger years, a smoothie was what you bought at Jamba Juice, and it had a cool name like Peach Perfection or Razzmatazz. That was a smoothie. In fact, I remember there was one down the street from our high school, and we would go get one for lunch and then go next door for a big slice of wheat bread at Great Harvest. And I thought, I got my whole wheat bread, I've got my smoothie, I am the pinnacle of healthy, and I'm amazing. And now that same meal would probably make me sick. So smoothies have changed. Definition now, it's something that I take that's specifically formulated to give me a healthy boost. So the basics that you need is one, well, you need a blender. I don't want to plug one or the other. Personally, I use a Blendtec. I've used Vitamixes before. If you don't have a high-powered blender, I completely suggest saving up for one. I've had one for about 10 years now, have over 1,000 blends on it, well over 1,000. And they come with warranties, so if you bust it, which I actually have, I've managed to break one or two, they get replaced, and it becomes a foundation or something you use every day in your family's health, so it's worth the investment. If you don't have one now, you can get by with a Bullet, the Magic Bullet little blender. Do the best you can, but work up to getting a high-powered blender. I would highly recommend that. Okay, so you need a blender, and then you need a liquid of some sort, greens, and frozen fruit. And that's all I'm going to say you need for a smoothie. This is kind of like a choose your own adventure book. Did you read those when you were kids? I used to love those. This is a choose your own adventure health journey. So if we're keeping in mind that we want this to be a functional food, and we're taking into issue what we want our body to have or to do or to overcome, that will influence the ingredients that we choose. So let's start with this liquid portion. So, I mean, that's easy. You really could just use water. You could use coconut milk or coconut water or straight milk. You could use so many different things. I will admit I've seen my kids start with chocolate milk. Whatever liquid you're going to use. Can I suggest as a functional food, you consider using a probiotic here? So every day our smoothies start with a kefir base. Those of you who aren't familiar with kefir, it's like yogurt on steroids. Yogurt has 7 to 10 strains of bacteria in there. Kefir has as many as 70. It's just an incredible probiotic food that's really easy and inexpensive to make at home, and I use that as the base of my smoothie. Then suddenly whatever else you put in there is infused with probiotic power, will boost your gut health, and I'll admit I don't like kefir straight. It's like yogurt that punched you in the face. I'm incredibly honest, if nothing else, right? It's a little strong for me, although a lot of people like it. But in a smoothie, it just adds a creamy, nice base, a punch of nutrition, and you won't notice that flavor so much. So for your liquid, pick what's going to serve you best. And if you want a really powerful healing tool, try a probiotic like kefir. Another thing you could use that a lot of people don't think about is bone broth. So you're like, wait, I don't really want a meat flavored shake in the morning, right? But the fact is, if you make bone broth, or you can come buy it at the farm, we have it, and you don't season it at all, it's really bland. In fact, when I do my class, I have everyone taste it plain and then taste it seasoned or with a little salt in it. Night and day different. It has almost no flavor if you don't put anything in it, no onions, no garlic, none of that. So when I make broth at home, I always use it unseasoned because that gives me the option to use it in a smoothie. So sometimes we'll do half kefir, half broth as the base of a smoothie. And then no matter what else you put in there, you can't taste that and you're getting all the health benefits. So choose that liquid wisely and use it for your advantage. You want the most function out of that food. Okay, next we'll go to the greens. So now we add our greens. And some people say they don't like greens and like to leave this out. And I'm like, what? This is like the best cheat ever. So I'm not one to sit down and eat a pound of kale. I don't enjoy that, but I can certainly stuff my blender full of kale, blend it in a smoothie, and hardly even notice that it's there. So greens are pound for pound like the most nutritionally dense food on the planet. They have proteins, they have all the micronutrients and minerals you could need. They're powerful at detoxing. Did you know kale can carry more than its weight out of your body in toxins? Like, it's powerful. Greens have so many benefits, and most of us are not getting enough of them. Even if you were eating salad every day, you're probably not getting as many as you could. So stuff them in a smoothie and it's a freebie. So pack that full of greens. And when I say greens, it doesn't just have to be the leafy greens, spinach and kale and chard, dandelion greens. Pick them out of your yard. I've done that. Not too many though, because they're bitter. It doesn't just have to be that. You can also throw in some leftover, broccoli from the night before, or some cucumber slices or things like that. Just whatever vegetables you have laying around. And next, let's go to frozen fruit. So I say frozen because that's what's going to make this cold. So if this smoothie is blended warm, that kefir will taste really strong. Those greens will taste kind of gritty. But if it's cold, it masks a lot of these flavors we're trying to hide. So use your frozen fruit like you would ice. And if you don't have any, use ice. A simple tip right there, right? But frozen fruit is going to help pack it with phytonutrients, antioxidants, all these healthy benefits, fiber, and also make it taste good. I mean, hello, we want it to taste good, right? So besides these three things, liquid, greens, and fruit, you have optional, what I call boosters, and optional flavors, ingredients you just put in for flavor. And these can go all over the place. There's a million different possibilities, and they're all optional. Let's start with boosters. So I like to put a protein powder in mine. And maybe you like collagen or whey powder or greens powder. Even putting greens in, I will still use a greens powder in my smoothies. And I'm not recommending specific brands. Just use your standards for whole food. Are they whole food ingredients? Is it free of harmful additives, chemicals? Is it organic? Is it free of fillers? This is what I'm using when you're looking to buy these. And the reason I don't stick with one brand is because I bargain shop. If something is on sale at a nutrition store I'm at, then I'll try it out if the ingredients match my standards. You can look back at my blog post or video on reading labels for help with this. But anyway, yeah, all these kind of things. You can add flaxseed or chia seed to add a little more protein and an omega-3 boost, which is anti-inflammatory. There you go. There's another functional tip there. You could add nut butters to add some healthy fats. There's all kinds of things you can add. One thing I like to add, I'll even show this one, is I love to put in some MCT oil. You don't have to do bulletproof. In fact, this brand is really expensive, and this bottle I just keep refilling with a different brand that's not as expensive, but it makes me feel cool. So MCT is an example of something you would add. I like the brain benefits of it, and it's a healthy fat. So that's a function I want in my smoothie, so I'll put that in my smoothie. That makes sense. So flavors. Almost all my smoothies are chocolate. I love chocolate, so if I can mask a nutritional punch for my entire day in chocolate, it's a win in my book. And you can do that with cocoa powder, cocoa nibs, cocoa beans, any form of chocolate. Just throw it right in there, or a lot of your powders you're going to buy will be flavored with cocoa already. So I love chocolate, but you can also, I'll ask the kids in the morning, what kind do you want? And they'll tell me flavor, and I'll use that as my base. If they want fruit flavored, easy, nothing to it, just more fruit. If they want a peanut butter chocolate smoothie, okay, then a little less fruit, or something like banana that blends with chocolate and peanut butter, and that's the flavor profile I'm using to hide it. You can think outside the box though, just besides, vanilla, chocolate, strawberry. Let's go into, pumpkin spice. You could add some pumpkin spice and even some pumpkin puree. You could add some ginger and lime. There's so many different flavors you can use. So if you're bored of your smoothie, it means you're not thinking, because there's just endless possibilities here, okay? Okay, we're buzzing through this fast because I really don't want to get bogged down in specifics. I want you to start thinking, what do I want to get out of my smoothie? And that will help you choose the ingredients, the boosters, the flavors, and you'll get into a habit. Let's talk about some mistakes people make. when doing smoothies. And I don't, I'd like to say there's no mistakes, but then I'm so well versed at making mistakes, even where people say it's not possible. There are things you can do wrong. So a mistake is basically anything that's going to keep you from doing a smoothie and anything that's going to cancel out the health benefits of that smoothie. So one thing people often do that I would brand a mistake is avoiding fats in their smoothie. So using water or skim milk because they don't want any fat in there, or bragging that it's all greens and fruit and it's totally fat free. You guys, we need healthy fats. Our brain needs fat. Our body needs fat, and it's one of the greatest fallacies in our modern diet is to avoid fat. We need healthy fats. So in fact, putting some fat into your smoothie will not only make it more satiating, but it will also help balance your insulin levels, because if you're taking a fruit and veggie bomb into your gut just straight up, and it's even juiced for faster absorption, you can get an insulin spike and get a little bit of a buzz, and that could be issues if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic or have other issues with energy regulation and such. So a little fat will help that absorb slower and have so many health benefits. So put a healthy fat in there. And what does that mean? That MCT oil I just showed you, you can put some actual coconut oil in there, or a nut butter is a really good way to get a healthy fat in there. And it tastes great too. I've even thrown ghee in there or butter. Yeah, seriously guys, it just gives it a rich, satiating flavor, and you'll love it, especially with chocolate. Oh my goodness, chocolate and ghee in a smoothie. Thank you. Now we're talking cake batter material, right? Okay, high carbs. I know we're sick of hearing about carbs and counting carbs, and I'm not saying everyone should be on a low carb diet. Personally, I tend to stay on a low carb diet, but not everybody does. However, if your smoothie is straight fruit, it's bananas and pineapple and tropical fruit up to the rim, and it's all fruit, then when you blend that down and look what's in that, that's more than you would eat in one sitting, right? That's why we like it, because we can pack in more nutrition. But when we're talking fruit, that's a lot of sugar that you're taking in. Okay, even though it's a healthy whole sugar, the fiber's there, it's still a lot to take in one sitting. So I tell people, watch the levels of fruit that you're using or other sweeteners. If, for example, when I talked functional boosters, I like to put a teaspoon of raw local honey in my kids' smoothies because it's like an allergy inoculation, and it helps so much with that, and it tastes great, right? But if you're dumping, and I've seen my kids do this, just squeezing that honey bottle and it's just, half gone in one pitcher. I say that because I've seen that. Even though it's healthy, that's a sugar boost. So watch what you're doing. So match the profile of your smoothie to the diet or lifestyle that you're on. So where I'm low carb, I never put bananas in mine. It's too high carb for me. For fruit, I'll do like a quarter cup of berries. And that tastes delicious, especially with my chocolate, and I'm happy. But for my son, to get him to do it, he likes a blend of pineapple and strawberries. That's delicious. My daughter loves mango, but I'll limit how much is in there so that you get the flavor and you get the health benefits, but you're not getting a sugar bomb. So just be a little mindful of the fruit and the sweeteners that you're putting in. Okay, something else you can do that can mess up a smoothie is making it gross. Is that a no-brainer? I'm going to say it again. If you make your smoothie gross, your kids won't drink it, you won't drink it, you might say you're going to drink it, you might get one down, but it's not happening again. And this can happen when we add too many of these boosters, these superfoods. Like, I love to collect superfoods. In fact, I'll show you one. I just bought this blue spirulina powder. It's going to be backwards and it might not even focus. I'll put it in the comments. And I love it because I'm a fan of spirulina, but I've only seen it green. This is like Smurfy blue. Smurfy blue. And I'm so excited to have a bright blue smoothie. I had to have it, okay? So this is, when I say I collect superfoods, this is what I'm talking about. But if you put too many of these superfoods in it, you get this muddy, murky, sometimes bitter flavored smoothie. There's not enough fruit in the world to hide it. That's a mistake. So watch how many boosters you're throwing in there. One example, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but one time I made a smoothie, and I actually made it to go with dinner. When you think it's just for breakfast, it's not true. If you're having a lighter dinner, you need to fill it out a little bit, serve a smoothie on the side, or have it for a snack, or before bed, or any time can be smoothie time, really. So I was serving a smoothie on the side, and I was trying to get liver into our diet because liver is a true nutritional powerhouse and a superfood, and it is so good for you. And I hate it. I hate it. And I've tried so many ways to cook it and prep it, and I already know I'm going to get people telling me how to make it, and I will try all your recipes. I still have not made friends with liver, and I'm trying. But someone told me they put it in their smoothie, so I'm like, I'm going to do this. So I made a pitcher of smoothie for my family. I put a little bit, like a nickel-sized piece in the whole pitcher of raw liver. And then I poured a glass for me, and I poured a glass for my husband, and I took a sip, and I went like, I couldn't swallow it. It was so gross. Even with all my beautiful fruit and chocolate and everything in there, all I could taste was liver. And then I didn't say anything. I kept my poker face on because I thought maybe my husband, who does not have the discerning palate that I have, maybe he'll drink it and it will still be a win. And he took a sip and his eyes got big. And he just looked at me like, "What did you do?" It was so bad. We had like tears running down our face. We were laughing so hard at how bad it was. We ended up bribing my son, who was probably 9 at the time, $5 if he could drink the whole pitcher. And he did it, but he was gagging the whole time, and it was just... So we got our money's worth out of entertainment, but it was not a tasty thing. I definitely ruined that smoothie trying to go above and beyond, when without that liver in there, it was a beautiful nutritional food. I should have left it how it was. So watch that you don't make it gross. And if you do, don't let that scare you off smoothies forever, because you can fix the next one, right? Okay, there's one application for gross that I use, and this is just a personal thing. I don't usually advocate punishing yourself, but this works for me. I call it my penance smoothie. So if I'm at a party, for example, and there's a cake that just looks really good, but it's off plan, what I do is think, all right, if I eat this piece of cake, I'm going to make a penance smoothie in the morning to balance it out. Now, whether or not this works is, the science is shaky. Flooding with nutrients won't necessarily cancel out the bad foods that you ate before. But if that food isn't worth the pain of this penance smoothie, it's easier for me to say no. No, I don't want to. That cake is not worth a penance smoothie. So what is a penance smoothie? That is when I pile in all these boosters and all these bitters and all these things that you usually just a pinch of mushroom powder and a pinch of dandelion root, these things that you hold back on. I put it all in and I leave the fruit out, and I end up with a jar of sludge that's super good for me that doesn't taste very good. So a penance smoothie, that might help you if you're on a strict diet and you're trying to motivate yourself to stick on it. So you can use food as punishment. Anyway, so mistakes. Let's go over tips to make you more successful at brewing smoothies, okay? One, I get people that tell me all the time their greens go bad. So how many of you have seen these containers that you get at Costco or wherever, these big containers of spinach or power greens, kale, baby greens, whatever you're buying, okay? And how many of you throw half or more of these away, or the slimy leaves left at the bottom that you didn't get to? And that used to frustrate me so much. So it's worth it to organize your freezer to make room for this to slide right into your freezer, because these don't get packed down, they just freeze how they are, and it's so easy to grab a handful of frozen greens and put it into your smoothie. Okay, and then you'll never waste greens again. So I'll buy those, and we'll probably eat the first half in our salads, and then as I start to notice they're getting a little bit older, I stick it in the freezer, and then we have that for smoothies. And they're perfect, they're wonderful. So that's a way to save money and not waste any greens. Another thing, look for ways you can hack your routine. Ways that you can hack to shave seconds or minutes off of your routine to make you more likely to do it. So I'm going to show you some of mine. One, and I didn't actually bring this, I have a jar of powders I mixed. If you use a lot of different additives in your smoothie, it can take a while to get all the jars out, take the lid off, scoop it out, put them back, get the next thing out. So I have a few powders that I regularly use, and I just blended them all into one jar. So I have my own homemade smoothie mix. Mine, personally, it has collagen powder in it, and some bone broth powder in it, and a blend of functional mushrooms I like from Four Sigmata, and some cocoa powder in it, because I'm all things chocolate. things like that. And I've blended it all up, so I just take a big heaping scoop of that, and that's my smoothie booster. And I love it. You could do yours with whatever you use, but if you find yourself repeatedly grabbing more than one container of powders or other things, blend that together. That's a hack. Did I forget this too? I always forget stuff. So, like I said, I use kefir in my smoothies. So I actually got like a Ziploc container brand Tupperware, I think. And I don't even use Tupperware anymore. I use glass for my Tupperware and mason jars. But for this, I bought one of these and it fits perfectly on top of this, on top of my blender. And then I drilled holes into the bottom of it. I'm so sorry I don't have it to show you. It's probably right in front of my face. No? Anyway, it fits right here. And then when I'm ready to strain my kefir for the day, and if you don't know how to make kefir, let's talk. Come in the store and let me show you how to do this. It's so easy. But you have to strain the kefir every morning. I actually dump that jar right into my blender, and it strains right into my blender. So that when I take it out and I have the grains left to make my next batch, here's my blender. My base is already in there, ready to go. Boom. I saved myself so much time and trouble, and I'm using it every day because I've made it easy for myself. So that's an example of a way I hacked my routine to make me more likely to do it. Another hack is I hear people be like, I don't have time in the mornings. For one, it should take you less than 5 minutes to make this because maybe you sit on your shelf. I have a Tupperware of just smoothie ingredients in my pantry, the dry ingredients, and in my freezer I have one shelf dedicated to smoothie ingredients. So it's going to have that tray of greens. It's going to have my bags of berries. It's all right there where I can find it. My bag of frozen bananas. Whatever I'm using constantly is set aside and easy to get to. So it should be fast to make this, but if you're still saying, I don't have time to do it in the morning, load your smoothie the night before so you have your kefir and your frozen peaches and your greens and your chia seeds and whatever is going in that smoothie is in the pitcher, put that in the fridge. So in the morning, all you have to do is pull that out and blend it. Boom. That's all you've got to do. If you don't have time for that, then we've got bigger issues than what you're eating. We need to go over your schedule and de-stress you a little bit. So yeah, that's another hack. Preload it, ready to go. Just look for things like this that you can do to make it easier for yourself. Another one, guys, I hate cleaning peanut butter and almond butter out of the sides of the smoothie, of the blender. I hate that. My kids will load it in there and then leave it, and I hate scrubbing it. So I found if you throw a handful of almonds or a handful of peanuts in your blender instead of peanut butter, instead of almond butter, it blends clean. It doesn't stick to the side. Saves you on cleaning time. So I don't even use butters anymore. I just use the whole nuts. That brings me to cleaning. Okay, have you had to clean a crusty blender or a smoothie glass? It turns into cement in about 30 seconds. From the second you finish your smoothie to the second it's cement, you have about 30 seconds. So clean it as soon as you can. In fact, I'll pour the smoothies for each of the kids, and then I'll immediately rinse the blender and put it back. Okay, it's a habit. I don't ever let it sit there. And the kids know leaving a smoothie glass out is one of the unforgivable sins in our house. You will get grounded for the rest of your life if you leave your smoothie cup out. And sounds extreme, but it comes from washing 5,000 crustified glasses. So they've been trained and they know as soon as they finish they need to rinse it. Even if they don't go in the dishwasher, it at least has to be rinsed. It's right up there with unforgivable sins like finishing the toilet paper and not putting a new roll on there, or leaving a peanut butter knife in the sink. Oh, I hate that so bad. Anyway, smoothie cups are right up there. Clean them as soon as you can. Another tip is making these smoothies portable. So I've had people ask if you can make them ahead of time, and you can. So as soon as you blend it, your vegetables and your fruits start to lose enzyme action. So they're most active and available within 20 minutes or so of blending. But let's be real, sometimes you make too much and you don't want to waste it, or you're going to be busy later, so you're making yourself a smoothie. Is it a total waste? No, it won't be at its peak, but it will still be really good for you, especially if you're using a probiotic booster like kefir or yogurt. You're going to have enzyme action in there even if it's been sitting for a while. So yeah, you can make them the night before. I've heard people say they can stay up to 2 days in the fridge, but they start to get funky, especially if you use chia seeds or something like that. So fresh is better, but you can make them ahead of time. So I actually will send smoothies in my kids' lunches sometimes. So for that, you'll need something like this with a blender ball in it. Because when you make it ahead, it'll separate. You'll have solids and liquids and chunks and funks. So if they can give it a shake to make it fresh again, they're more likely to drink it. So I use these on the go all the time for pre-made smoothies. Also, if you're hiking, you can't blend in your greens, but you could take one of these and have green powder in there and maybe some protein powder in there, and then just pour in some water and shake it up, and you've got more of a juice in a smoothie, but you still have that concept while you're on the go, if that's helpful. So, do I do smoothies every day? No, we get sick of them every day. In the summer, we do them more often. In the winter, maybe every couple days. And we like to alternate with a hot breakfast, so we'll have some kind of porridge or hot cereal on days we don't have smoothies, or maybe we'll fry up some eggs, but it's definitely a regular feature in our lineup. And if the kids are starving and I'm a ways out from dinner, I'll be like, well, let me make you a smoothie for a snack. And that's an acceptable way to get some nutrition down them. And we've played with combinations enough that they all have their favorites. I can tell you which smoothie blend each of my kids likes, and just, hey, I'll whip this up for you. Okay, I'll put extra this in it, and they're takers. So come into the store today and tell me what your favorite smoothie is. By now you know mine's chocolate anything, but chocolate and raspberries, I can hide anything except liver in chocolate and raspberries. So come into the store at Utah Natural Meat in West Jordan. We're open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 6, Saturdays from 10 to 3, and I'd love to visit and help you pick out smoothie ingredients. We sell beautiful raw whole milk that's delicious, and you can go beyond that, like I said, and boost it into a ferment and make kefir or yogurt. We sell the starts for both of those, and I can tell you how to do it. We have instructions. We also sell Vital Proteins, gelatin and collagen powder, and bone broth powders that are good in smoothies. We even sell liver if you want to try it after my endorsement. So come in and see what we have to help your smoothie routine. And then if you have other questions or comments, you can enter them here, or in our Facebook group Utah Natural Wellness, where I love to discuss all things food. You can go to my site nourishwithkristin.com, and you can book a free 20-minute consult with me so we can strategize your health needs and goals and see what we can do to help you. Also, I always repost these discussions on the blog there. It usually takes me 1 or 2 days, but like I said, I'll throw in some ingredients and maybe some brand recommendations or ideas in addition to what we talked about today. So when you blend your smoothie next time, think of me and let me know what's in your glass. Have a great day.